Well, good morning, everyone. It is Valentine's Day. It is Ash Wednesday in San Antonio, and there are people scrambling around town trying to get ashes and probably flowers for Valentine's Day. But this is Pickup Lines presented by Gamez Law Firm and Integrity Roofing and Siding, and I'm Marie Zuniga with a very special episode today. We are inside the beautiful, spacious, luxurious Lexus RZ 450e, courtesy of North Park Lexus of San Antonio and North Park Lexus at Dominion. So let me plug this in. Make sure everybody can hear me. All right. Before we get started here, I want to make sure, can everybody hear me okay? Are we good to go? Happy Valentine's Day and happy Ash Wednesday to everybody out there. And if you're watching here, tell us where you're from. We've got a special guest today. And so I want to make sure that everybody can hear us and that we're good to go. So, are we good? Okay. Without further ado, let me bring in special guest for Pickup Lines here. Somebody you might recognize. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the mayor of San Antonio, Ron Nirenberg. How are you, sir?
This is the nicest studio I've ever been in.
Adjust the seat however you want.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Well, I appreciate it. I don't have a driver like you do yet, but
I'll be your driver. This is a nice car.
Well, thank you very much. I know a guy at North Park Lexus. If you you like this? They call this Palomino and everything, and so it's if you were to spill something on it. Are you comfortable?
I don't deserve to be in a car like this.
Stop it. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. I was thinking about something just driving over here. I was like,
should we put on our seatbelts?
Well, we're not moving. We're not going to move.
I know, but
I mean, if you want to, if it makes you feel more comfortable. I mean, we're not.
Everybody knows we're not moving.
No, we're not moving. Yes, we're not moving. Do you don't drive very often, do you? Like you were driven here this morning.
I drive every chance I get.
Right.
And I don't have a car anymore, so I have to ask permission to drive.
Like literally.
I literally have to ask permission to drive.
Even if it's to go like to the convenience store down the street or to anything.
That's right.
You leave your house or leave City Hall.
Yeah, because it's not my car anymore. So it's Erika's car. So I have to ask her if I can borrow her car.
That's crazy to me. I mean, I understand why, but that's just crazy to me. We are at City Hall, by the way, I should mention. So thank you to whoever's parking spot I took this morning. I think we're good.
This is Gabby's parking spot.
She's your is it press secretary or PIO or communications director? Yeah. So Gabby, thank you very much. I'll take good care of your spot. And I know I have you for just a little bit. So, but I'm grateful that you're here. I was reminiscing.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Well, same to you. So let me ask you on that subject. I mean, I don't want to spoil any plans you may have, but do you have Valentine's all squared away for today?
I think so. Eric and I have made plans, and it's going to be fairly low key.
Okay.
But we're both film buffs.
Okay.
We both enjoy good Chinese food.
Oh.
And so we're going to do both of those at the same time.
Okay, because in the event that you hadn't, I had brought just in case, you needed something.
Thank you very much.
Us romantics, we got to stick together.
Is that for me?
Well,
or is that for me to give
it was
to Erika?
Either for you to give to Erika, because I know you're
you.
busy, and the last thing I wanted you to do was just to show up. It's a variety.
Thank you very much.
But now you probably don't even eat chocolate.
I didn't bring you anything.
No, I wasn't expecting you to. I don't require that. But you probably don't eat chocolate because you're like.
No, I love chocolate. I really do. Dark chocolate.
Okay, because it's healthier.
Well, no, I like the taste. It is healthier, though. That is true.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I actually had the opportunity to be in Switzerland not too long ago.
Nice.
And my taste for chocolate actually was elevated beyond what it was before. But no, I love chocolate. I love dark chocolate.
They do know chocolate over there, that is for sure. So I was reminiscing back to when we first started talking like this once upon a time. And I feel like it's been like 9 or 10 years when you were a city councilman in District 8. And in my previous employer, you would come on Fridays, I think. And I think at one point we even dubbed it Fridays with Ron because you were on pretty frequently. And I remember thinking at the time I used
to drive myself there, by the way.
To the TV station. And I remember thinking at the time, of course, I had no way of knowing what your political plans were going to be. But I was like, you know what? It feels like he's going to run for mayor at some point. And you ultimately did, and you ultimately won. And now we're coming up to, I guess we're a little more than a year away from the end of your run as mayor. And I wonder if you started allowing yourself to just kind of reflect or reminisce, or what kind of emotions you're going through right now.
A lot of mixed emotions.
Yeah.
Obviously, nostalgic. Some extreme gratitude, obviously, for the time that I've spent. It has gone by in a heartbeat. And we've talked about this a number of times. I wasn't planning to do this in my life. I had a very similar experience to many people who move here.
Yeah.
I wasn't born here.
Right.
I fell in love with this city.
Right.
And after my son was born in 2008, I started getting really more involved in civic affairs, volunteering. And I just, one thing led to another, and I wanted to spend my time as much as I could making this city the best possible place it could be, because I wanted him to experience that too. And what has driven me from day one is the love of this city. So it is a little bittersweet that I'll be moving on from this job.
And so your son will be, 16 this year?
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me, because we've watched him grow up, quite literally. It is formidable years in the public eye.
Yeah.
And he's going to be driving and all the other things that 16-year-olds do.
Right. Not excited about that.
He can drive you soon.
That's right. He might have a car before I do. Yeah.
That's crazy. But you mentioned, so you weren't born here, and you grew up in Austin, right?
Yeah, it depends on how you define growing up. I feel like I grew up here. I've been here for almost 30 years now, and when you go to college someplace, those years
you went
are
to
growing
Trinity.
up.
Yeah,
so you grow up in college for all practical purposes. So I feel like I grew up here.
Yeah.
But I did go, so I was in Austin from the time I was 3 years old to the time I graduated high school. So, I grew up a little bit in Austin, but I really grew up in San Antonio.
And so you knew pretty clear after you finished at Trinity that you were going to stay here, plant roots here and everything.
Yeah, unexpectedly, because when I moved to San Antonio, I wasn't expecting to stay beyond college, but, the 4 years that I was here, incredible things were happening. I got to, venture out in the city quite a bit. I was in journalism.
I recall. Did you not intern? You were a sports intern, right?
At WOAI. I'm sorry, KMOL. KMOL.
It was KMOL, which, back in the day, with Don Harris and
right.
Was it David Chancellor? And
I used to cut tape.
Oh, my God.
Highlights.
The first time I heard that, I almost fell out of my chair because I couldn't believe it. And also, how about this? I'm older than he is by about a year. I looked it up.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm about a year older. So you would have been interning roughly around the time. That was in the early...
It was probably 96.
96.
When I say cut tape, we actually stopped cutting tape. But we were having to rewind and fast forward and identify the highlights.
Linear, edit, and yes.
I worked a Super Bowl Sunday.
I worked many Super Bowl Sundays, yes. But did you ever, you did that obviously, but you didn't decide to pursue the journalism part full time?
I didn't, because I was also doing sports journalism at Trinity.
Yeah.
And I was the sports editor of the paper. I was doing the sports beats. The big time was getting the football beat. I got that.
Right.
And I kind of fell out of favor with it, just because, it was tracking the same people every week, asking the same questions.
Right.
It got a little bit repetitive for me. And then by the time I finished college and went to pursue more of an academic route, I was going in a different direction.
So tell me about the political side where, and I don't remember what you were doing before you ran for city council, but you obviously had a moment where you decided to pivot in that direction, and then here we we So how did that happen?
To pivot into a
public service,
direction?
public running.
When I was at Trinity, when I went to grad school in Philadelphia, I met Erika.
Right.
And at the time, I was pursuing an academic route in sports and culture.
Right.
And my dream job at that point had evolved, and I got an internship in between our first and second year of the master's program to go work at NFL Films. And the way that works. It was in New Jersey, and the way that works is that the internship that was paid for Nirenberg would transition into a job. And at that summer, I had just, about 6 months earlier, started dating Erika. And so I knew she was a year ahead of me. She was coming down to San Antonio to work for Lionel Sosa.
Right.
And I was head over heels in love with Erika, and so I really had a choice to make. Do I want to go try to find an internship that would be paid by Nirenberg in San Antonio so I could continue to be with Erika, or go to New Jersey and go and, pursue my career?
Yeah.
Like a good red-blooded American man, I chose the former, and I came down to San Antonio to be with Erika during the summer and also to work at IDRA. And in that process, I got involved in another civic project that was being done at Annenberg. Long story short, it was all in municipal and civic affairs, which I was interested in too.
Right.
And one thing led to another as I was here in San Antonio, got more involved in civic affairs, and realized after my son was born, I like doing that more than my day job. What do I need to do to get more of that? Why don't I run for city council?
There you go.
And I had no idea what I was getting into, but pursued it with my whole, being, and here we are.
And it worked out. So I've always told people the show is called Pickup Lines. It's not a dating show, but I'm going to make an exception only because today is Valentine's Day. So did you have a pickup line for Erika, or did she have one for you when you guys were courting each other?
She will tell you that I courted her and nagged her for literally months. So the day I met Erika was when they brought in the grad school prospects to come visit the campus, and they let people know that they were accepted so late that I was one of only 2 people that showed up in Philadelphia, and they told this first-year grad student, hey, he's from Texas, why don't you go show him around?
Oh, wow, okay.
And so we were paired up. We got to talk a little bit. I mean, I think she was just sort of tolerating me. But we went to a party. We had dinner with the grad students. It was amazing. You know, this intellectual conversations and these really cool people, the professors we were having wine and conversation with.
Right.
At the end, all the grad students and myself and one other prospective student went to go to another party with just the students.
Okay.
At the end of the night, it's in the middle of Philadelphia in the late 90s. I'm not going to let her walk home alone.
No, you're not.
And so I walked her to her door, which is not too far away, and I hailed a cab. There was no Uber back then.
Right.
Hailed a cab. I gave her a hug, got in the cab to go to where I was staying, and the cab driver turned to me and asked me, wow, nice girl, you going to marry her? Without even thinking, I said, yeah, I think I will. That was like literally about 6 hours after I met her.
6 hours?
And so from then on, I don't know if it was sort of in my head, but it was a process of me just sort of falling more and more, enamored and in love with this girl. As we got through the first semester, she's, dismissing my, asks to go out.
Right.
And then finally, about the end, by the way, at that time, I was going through a little bit of a phase. I had long hair, a little bit of afro, wore strange clothes. So she said, you know what? I'll go out with you if you cut your hair and, you dress up normally, thinking that I would never do this, right? So she said that. The next day I showed up to class. Everything was clean cut, collared shirt, buttoned down, and I had the contract, because she wrote it in a contract.
Are you serious?
I'm serious, and we still have it.
You still have that document?
We still have the documents that said if I did that, she would go out with me. I showed up, and she had to go out with me, so the rest is history. That was, I think, December of '99.
That's a pretty great story, actually. I mean, I'd never heard that.
I should have brought the document.
That's why it's like 60 minutes. You never know what you're going to get here with me, but I love that. We'll have to find the photo of you with long hair and awkward clothes, and the document that sealed, and now here you are all these years later. So getting back to what's coming. Again, you know that your time as mayor will be up. And I know it can't happen, but if you could run for a 5th term, you would. Yeah,
because look, the reason why I'm doing this work is obviously not for the money, and it's not for the prestige, because the work that we do here, people will not remember our names, but hopefully you'll make an impact that will resonate and will be good for the future. And what motivates me is the opportunity to make this incredible city that much better for the future, for our kids and our grandkids. And so that work will never end. This is not a race where there's a finish line.
Right.
It will be iterative, and there's lots of work to continue to do. We've got real challenges here we got to do. So if I could serve more, I would.
Yeah.
Because this is love what I do.
So then the service obviously will be somewhere else, or here in San Antonio.
By the way, I need to say this.
Oh, yeah.
The Charter Review Commission will not give me another term. I didn't ask them to do that, so I'm not running for another term. I'm not seeking to ask them to let me run for another term.
There you have it. Nope. That's a very good point. Let's be very clear. It's not happening. It won't happen, and he's not even asking.
Yeah, not asking.
I was just throwing it out as a hypothetical, only because now the people obviously will want to know what you're doing next. And it's no secret that you have spent time in Washington with the president and done different things. And I suspect that you will be coveted by a lot of people the minute you leave City Hall. So do you have a plan or a direction where you might want to go?
Not yet, but what I will tell you again is what motivates me is to continue to serve San Antonio and this community, make it a better place. I love to solve problems. I love the public policy arena.
Yeah.
So, if there is opportunity there, I'll certainly take a look and pursue it. I haven't made any plans, and I'm really staying focused. I'm going to work to the last minute of the last hour of this term, so we can do as much good as we possibly can. But if I have the opportunity to continue to serve in some way, particularly in serve this community, I will do that.
And obviously, some of your predecessors have gone on to cabinet positions or done things at the federal level, and I'm sure those conversations, or you've thought about that, or people have thought about it for you.
Yeah.
Is that something that you would consider if that came along?
Yeah, I don't know any public servant who, if they got called to serve their country, wouldn't consider it. So, of course, and I do believe that the work that has taken place over the last 3 years of the Biden administration has been incredibly important.
Right.
And you can judge a man by the company he keeps. And I look at that, and you can judge the president by his cabinet and his advisors. I think that's a really important fact that we need to consider, especially during this election. So, we'll see what happens. Again, I have not made any plans. I haven't been asked to do anything. But I'll continue to pursue what I love to do, which is to serve, and in particular, serve this community.
Okay. So, obviously, I think it's safe to say that some current members of the city council will be seeking to and I'm not going to ask you for an endorsement because I know better. I don't expect you to give me an endorsement. What I'm curious about is the transition. Why does a city council man or woman make for a good mayor? I feel like a lot of recent mayors have come from the council, and I get they're already here at City Hall, but as opposed to somebody from the outside City Hall coming in, what makes that a better transition?
Well, there's been one exception to the outsider coming in rule, and that has been my mentor, Mayor Phil Hardberg, who was the Chief Justice of the Fourth Court before he stepped in. So he had plenty of civic experience, but by and large, I believe almost all mayors have come through the City Council. And it's something that I have only come to appreciate recently, which is that a lot of the energy you spend as mayor is in just governing and is in managing the process of governance of the city in order to keep things moving forward in a positive direction and to implement a vision. You need to be able to work the system to get all those things aligned. We are in a council manager form of government. Being able to work with a staff in a productive way is really a critical element of all this. And being able to manage and work with and collaborate with a group of 10 other elected officials who have their ideas for the city and figure out how to create unified action is a really underrated skill set that in order to be a successful mayor, you have to have.
Yeah. All right. Couple more minutes here with Mayor Ron Nirenberg, because you have a busy day. I think you have something at 9:30 or 9:35. How much do you know about what your day will look like today?
Well, I have to check my calendar. We have a B session today, and so the afternoon will be spent talking about the 3+9, which is our first quarter financials and how the forecast looks from there. I knew my day was going to start with you. There's a French journalist who's going to.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah, I didn't want didn't want to speak out of turn, but you have an interview with a French journalist that's going to talk to you about Victor Wembanyama.
I'm assuming, yeah.
The economic impact that he's having. So
Did you see the game 2 nights ago? His triple-double?
I saw some
blocks?
of it.
Oh, my
And it was like the first triple-double with blocks involved since David Robinson, or a long time ago.
Yeah. Four rookies in the history of the NBA have accomplished that. But his dominance of that game was unreal. In 28 minutes for a 20-year-old, that's a lot of excitement yet to come. I really don't care what their record is this year. I'm having a lot of fun just watching them because you can see. It's fun to watch them play.
You've seen them live a few times already?
I actually have not been to a game yet.
Okay. Well, I know you're busy, but on TV.
I've been out of town whenever I've had the opportunity to go.
You just went to D.C., right? Were you part of the essay to D.C.?
I was there for I think about 2 days.
Yeah.
I was there a couple weeks prior for the U.S. Conference of Mayors. So I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, well, I cut you off earlier, too. I was wondering, going back to 2020 and the COVID situation, and I wonder if ever at 6:13 on a random weekday, you just stop and you look at the clock and you think, my gosh, those COVID pressers that you did with Judge Wolf back then.
I'm having lunch with Nelson. I just saw that.
Oh, you have done? Okay, please tell the judge hi for me.
I will.
But I remember, I think I told my wife at the time, we were watching those pressers every night at 6:13, and I thought, you know what, if he decides to step away after this and not run for another term, I would totally understand, because I just didn't, that you came out of that and that we all went through that together. It's still hard to believe sometimes.
I haven't really fully appreciated that. The judge wrote a book, and I wrote a foreword to it. It allowed me to step back a little bit. It was significant. And there are a lot of mayors who did hang it up after that, a lot.
Yeah.
I was in a period of my career where I was just getting my feet underneath me, and what I've learned about myself is I thrive on stress. I'm a workaholic. So those are the moments where leadership is needed.
Yeah.
In those crises moments, the moments that are sometimes overlooked. And that's what I signed up for. So in my mind, that only made me stronger in terms of the work that we have to do and the reason why I asked to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I feel like fingers crossed, we're on the other end of that, and may we never go back to that again.
Yeah.
But
pray to God that never
no
happens
kidding.
again.
All right, coolest thing about City Hall or the mayor's office that the average person might not know about?
Oh, well, you should come up there. I thought you had, but
I've never been in your office. I've been in the building a couple of times. But
City Hall, our City Hall, is one of the oldest continuously operating municipal facilities in the country. Until we moved out in 2018,
right,
because everything was falling apart. Windows were falling out. The elevators didn't work. There was constant flooding on the downstairs. Plumbing was it was a mess. And over the period of the last 60 years or so, it had been retrofitted, drop ceilings, and air ducts had been added, so it didn't look anything like it did before.
Yeah.
So in 2018, we shut it down, and we did a refurbishment, but a historic preservation.
Right.
And so we removed all that stuff that was anachronistic. We got rid of the drop ceilings, the air ducts, and now City Hall looks largely like it did back when it was built. In particular, the mayor's office, which was moved back to its original spot. The cool part is the ceilings are a lot higher like they were, and if you look at the ceilings in my office, they have the original etchings, like carvings.
Nice. Okay.
So it's a modern building with all the electronics and stuff that you would expect, but it is a piece of history that can be pretty cool now.
Well, listen, we're coming up on the bottom of the hour. I know you have to get to your next interview on Victor Wembanyama, I'll come see you soon. I'll come see you. I'll come check out the office.
Oh, one other thing.
Yes.
So I have my office is also sort of a Sosa family art gallery annex.
Yeah.
I've got a picture. I've got 2 paintings by Lionel Sosa.
Yeah.
A painting by Christina Sosa and a painting by Kathy Sosa.
They're all amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I've seen pictures, or when you do interviews in your office, you see some of that stuff and everything, but it's amazing stuff. Well, it's thrilling to visit with you today. Happy Valentine's Day. Please don't forget your chocolates and everything, okay? And enjoy. All the best to your Valentine and your family and everything, and thank you.
And let me know when you need to get somewhere. I'm happy to drive you.
Yeah. I mean, it took me a week to figure out how to operate this thing, but I'm getting there. So thank you, sir. Good to see you.
Good
All
to see
right.
you.
This has been another episode of Pickup Lines presented by Gamez Law Firm and Integrity Roofing and Siding, and we'll be back again very soon right here. So have a great day.